My name is Christophe Elliott, and I'm head of research at BASIC, and I'm here with my colleague Maëlys, who is coordinating the project. So I will be taking a few minutes to make a very first short presentation of the work we're conducting. So to continue on the introduction, at BASIC we are a small social enterprise based in Paris, small research institute. We are a cooperative by constitution with 12 employees, and we've been working for the past 10 years to work on, actually conducting analysis that I've heard you've discussed briefly at the end of the morning around value chains and their impacts, but going to the end consumer in Europe, especially on cocoa, and we've done some work with GIZ lately and with INTPA for quite some years now. Going to what I'm going to present to you, we are not only conducting these sorts of studies in connections with some of you, but we're also building tools, and we've been working in that area and developing expertise for the past few years, not only on international commodities such as cocoa, on which we've been working, or banana and coffee, but also on food system in France. So we're working and developing web platforms of data and information for decision makers in France, in ministries, but down to the local levels of local authorities and different actors of the food systems. And because of this expertise in discussion with INPA, we came to this idea of working together, and on our side to be commissioned by AgriNatura in connection with INPA to work and develop with you and for you on what would be an information system platform that could really, I would say, leverage on the very, very rich content that is in all the studies that the project and AgriNatura network has been developing for the past few years, the more than 45 studies. And our key question is, I guess it is quite in connection with your debate this morning, as I've heard, how to communicate and disseminate as best as possible this very rich and interesting content. How to make it a support for, as some of you were saying, capability building and empowerment of, decision makers, not only public decision makers, not only in the international cooperation community, but also in the national institutions, decision makers, for more globally in the global south, in ministries, in different institutions, but also researchers, students, NGOs, entrepreneurs, whatever the actors that are working in that field. And you'll see also trying to leverage on how to also help not only dig into a given study with all the content that exists, but also to compare the results between different value chains. I will try to be maybe to take a bit more a lower dynamics for the people translating, so I'll be a bit slower now. What I'm going to show you is not the real platform, so I'm going to share right away my screen, but it's what we call a mock-up. It's very close to what the end result will look like, and it gives a first feeling. So we are separately working on the data. So in strong connection with all the team in AgriNatura, in the PMU, we are retrieving the data, and they're helping us a lot in processing it in the different software that are already used, namely AFA and also CIMAPRO for the life cycle analysis. And our work starts there, is that we take that data, and in connection we process that data, and then what we'll show you now is how we have first good idea of what it could look like when we issue in the course of the year the web platform. So that would be the something like the homepage that would look and feel like that. So you come to the value chain analysis for development. And then as you get into the page, you can quite easily select between different products. So you see the animal products, the orchids, the field crops. You see if there is one country linked to one commodity or multiple countries. And as we're talking about countries, well, you can navigate down to a map where you can, for example, I don't know, take, for example, Ghana. And then from there, you can decide to compare for a given country, for example, different commodities. But you would be able to do the opposite, is select, for example, fish or coffee from different countries and compare between them. And even more in a more custom way, you can really select the number of commodities you're interested in, the exact countries. So here you have different times Swaziland, but of course, in reality, you will have each and every different country, not like that in the real website. And on the right-hand side, you can also select the indicators that that you want to use. And why is all this interface is to do what you have just in here, is to have a kind of a visual first look of key variables, key indicators that come out of the studies and the software that you're using for the studies, and displaying in as much visual as possible way and user-friendly some key results. Once again, this is not real results, but that's to give you a look and feel of, you know, using different colors, using indicators that are as telling as possible. Seeing here, here it's about coffee, and then on top you have the different countries. And what is also important is you would be able to download not only the image there in order to directly use that and, for example, discuss with decision makers or other actors in the country, or you could also choose to download the whole data set of all the information for the different countries and commodities you have selected. So that's just for the beginning about the home page, but what is most interesting is to give you a bit more information on what it would look like if you take one study. So let's focus on milk in Burundi. That's one example we've worked on. So when you click on one country, one commodity, so one study, where you have the key elements on top, so the commodity, the country, currency, the reference year. And first of all, two key main issues we will build up for each commodity. As it is designed not only for the researchers, but also for a wider community of people, we try to have different levels of understanding. So somebody that is not familiar fully or not expert in that country or commodity can grasp the main results. So this is why you have a first, you see visual explanation of the key stages of the chain that we'll be working on for each study. A visualization of the flows of goods, which is so important. This is not the final one. We're going to do a much more nicer and user-friendly visualization in the course of the project, but that's just for you to understand what we're talking about. So something that will be really at the heart of the system for all the different studies. And then you will get to, on the platform, the four main pillars of the analysis of VCA4D. So you see inclusiveness, contribution to growth, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability. And just to give you some insights, if we go into inclusiveness, for example, so there we go. You see that on the left-hand side, you have some small panel where you will be able to navigate the results. But let's just follow through one page, for example. As you see, the whole idea is to have something that is really something that makes the content as accessible as possible. So it starts with one key question, one of the key ones in the methodology of VCA4D, a small text underneath, so that somebody is not expert can understand what lies behind this question. And then sub questions, for example, on employment along the chain. We'll have some small text boxes around methodology. We think this is very important so that a non-expert can understand the limits the potential biases, not to misinterpret the key results. And then as we move down, some key indicators. So these are not real numbers, but it's just for you to understand the principle. Key indicators like number of actors or number of jobs. And as you see, always at the heart of the system, having this visualization of the different steps of the chain. We've seen that before with the flow of goods and the technical explanation. Here we see still the same way to navigate in the results. And even on top of that, a way to explore with a bit more details, like a pop-up where you see here kind of open up the agricultural producers and understand that in that family of actors, you have different realities, so different typologies, and the same goes for the different actors along the chain. And if we move down to another question, you'll have exactly the same thing. Also to explain that depending on the level of expertise of the user, you have really different levels of reading. One is the key question, always a small text that could also be sometimes beneath indicated to help understand what it's about. And for the more experts, we'll have, you see this kind of question marks where you can have really the kind of the formulas or more details on the indicator if you want to really know what it's all about, and still this possibility to pop up some more details. And maybe to finalize this part of how far we can go in the details, the idea is really to invite people to go always a bit further. So for example, if we take these agricultural producers, well, maybe someone wants to understand better what it's all about, so they could click on that and they would get to a different page where this is the kind of the lowest level of detail we can get to, where we focus on one type of actor, and you have, so it's not set up here, but key numbers on the characteristic of the actor, key data on economics, and also you see the detailed accounts of profit and loss accounts of the actor. So really something that's kind of an invitation to navigate in the details and get to a more transversal view and look, and the user will be able to navigate between the different actors and typologies like that. And then, well, I'll get back to the previous one where you have a more transversal view. And once you've understood that, go back to the main page of that study and maybe go to a different pillar. So the same works with, you see, contribution to growth. It will work just the same. I've seen you were discussing that the morning, who creates the value added, who receives it, for example, what differences in terms of profitability and viability of business and the business model along the chain. So we're really trying to work on those kind of key visualization that makes it graphic and appealing to non-experts, but also to experts, with always the possibility to download the results and to have more details on this or that aspect. So really something that can deliver results for kind of a diversity of audiences. And what I've not said, which is important, as you see here, at the end of each page, it would at least open up on, the 6 pages synthesis of the report, and it would open up directly at the right page, because we know that data is not sufficient. It's also very important for people to go and access the text itself. So here they have the snapshot of the 6 pages available. And once again, it's an invitation for people to go to the report and read it. So we also conceive the platform as being complementary to the report and kind of helping a wider audience to get to that, have something that they can navigate, and give them the invitation to really go more in depth and go to the report, which they will be able to access, for example, here on the left-hand side, where they can download the full report. And well, that's pretty much it. And the same goes for social sustainability with the radar, already know, and go with the life cycle analysis that we will make our best to present in the same way along the chain. So we really have always this visualization of the value chain as being at the hardcore of the visualization, and back to from there to the home page. And I don't know if you have any questions. So it's more a teasing, because we are entering now the concrete building of that platform, but we have the different pieces. I think we still have quite some work to do, but a real good work already has been developed so far with the PMU and Agrinatural network, and really excited to go in the next stage, and open if you have any clarification questions or any reaction at that stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christophe. Was this a nice presentation of the VCA4D information system? We've seen that we have an interface. It allows information diffusion. It allows capacity binding. It allows networking, and it allows to provide 6-page snapshots. And if you have any additional question, we can even take one question or one remark.
I think there was one on the web, which is when will it be made public? And I think that Frédéric wanted to maybe take the floor.
It is going to be made public in the first half of this year. So it's going to be a question of populating. So we think about May, June, it will be ready.
Hi, my name is Ben Bennett from NRI. It's an extraordinarily difficult thing to do, and visually it looks very nice, and I like it, and it's a good thing to do. One of my concerns might be that these markets that we've looked at, very dynamic, a lot of changes in the last 5 years in the world's economies and in these economies. So these are a snapshot at a certain period of time. So I guess each one needs to come with some safety information somewhere up front where people can see this was done at a certain time in a certain place in a certain way, very obviously, so we don't all get criticized. That we're just a thought.
No, definitely. Maybe we'll even put that. Yeah, we've put here the reference here, but you're right. Maybe we'll put that even more clearly to the user. And it seems that also brings up the discussion we've had with the team on also, once the platform begins to be available for different actors, there may be also decision makers or people that are going to ask for, is it possible to have not a full new study, but maybe an update of some key indicators? So that's also in the scope of discussion of, once the platform is in place, is it something that makes sense for the community of people that are here on the web and in the room, and more widely the users of this platform, to have this capacity maybe to have some regular updates where we see the most interest, for example, and things like that. Could be also new things that pop up as future steps forwards.
Thank you, Christophe. Oh.
May I?
Yeah.
Just a simple question. Will you, in addition to the averages, also report on the standard deviations? Because there's a lot of variability, of course, in the data.
Yeah, this is, well, we'll take that on board. That may be also something we can add, that some vigilance on the numbers, and maybe not only just methodologies, but we'll have a look at that. And once again, what we could not show here, but will be very important, is really the capacity to download the full set of data, especially for the people that are going to look into the details. So for the less expert, let's say some message or something that makes it clear, not to over-interpret the averages, and always the capacity to get to the raw data, so then people can make their work around it. But very good point.
Je m'excuse, je pose la question en français. Merci beaucoup à travers votre présentation, mais je dis à travers maintenant, au sortir des transitions qui ont été menées, est-ce qu'il est envisagé de faire par les marias, parce qu'on s'est basé sur certains nombres d'indicateurs économiques, environnementaux, peut-être maintenant, au regard des études, 46 études, est-ce qu'il y a des paramètres qu'on est supposé avoir plus à changer, ou bien d'autres indicateurs, parce qu'on est parti sur des indicateurs peut-être, mais au sortir de ces 26, 30, 40 études, peut-être qu'il y a des indicateurs d'autres peut-être qui sont apparus plus intéressants à mener. Est-ce qu'il est envisageable donc de réviser donc les indicateurs par rapport aux différentes dimensions environnementales, économiques et sociales? Merci.
Très bonne question aussi. Je vais peut-être laisser la parole, Frédéric. Je ne sais pas si tu voulais répondre à ça.
Ok. Je réponds en français peut-être, ce sera plus simple. Non, on n'a pas pour ambition de remodeler constamment le thermomètre, je dirais. Il faut qu'il reste assez stable parce que justement, si on veut faire de la comparaison intertemporelle, on ne peut pas changer systématiquement la méthode. Par contre, la base de données pourra permettre à un utilisateur de sélectionner les indicateurs que lui pense être les plus importants par rapport au contexte dans lequel il travaille. C'est bien pour ça. L'idée, c'est de pouvoir mettre facilement à la disposition de tous les utilisateurs possibles la capacité à sélectionner des indicateurs et pas d'avoir à prendre un rapport et à relire 200 ou 100 pages pour trouver l'indicateur qu'ils recherchent et de le faire sur plusieurs chaînes de valeur en même temps.